everyone, welcome to another session of Caffeine and Carrots. Today we have Anamika Ghosh with us. She's a senior CSM APAC at VMware and she also runs her own podcast, What's Up in CS. We will talk about that towards the end of this session. But for now, welcome Anamika.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, Anshi. And I'm looking forward to talk more about, on my favorite topic, CS, customer success is one of my favorite topic, being in that community, in that network and being a, certified CS professional. So I'm looking forward for having a good conversation with you.
Absolutely. I am equally excited to have this conversation with you because until now, I think I've been talking to CS leaders and management and all to understand how CS has been evolving, what is happening in the CS space. But I really wanted to hear from you. You being in CS for quite a while in various organizations, so you have seen how CS has evolved, how different organizations manage CS. So I'm really excited to have this conversation with you. On that note, let us begin with the very, very basic question. You have seen or rather experienced how CS as a function and CSM as a role has evolved over a period of time. So, what is your take on that?
So, considering my 8+ year of, involvement in the CS community, I think that CS role is the only role which has been evolved exponentially around the world, with the time. It's earlier it started as a customer delight team or customer enabler team, and cut to now, we have customer success specialist, we have customer advocate and whatnot, depending on the organization need of, setting up their own CS department, how they want to, put their CS workforce for their customer. Right. So more company, if you see, Anshi, more companies are now shifting responsibility to the ongoing customer care or growth into more on the customer success side, like more on a proactive side, being a reactive. And when the CSM title come into the limelight, which is not, I think, it has been a decade now. It came into the limelight, and I was reading somewhere. So there is one good survey in 2019. A survey has been done by consulting firm called ZS. They have taken a survey on which business role is getting popular day by day. You will not believe 54% of the people in that survey has responded that customer success role is the more prominent role, going forward, with if you are focusing on the customer facing roles. Also, there is one more survey I have seen in LinkedIn that the very second promising role and the most popular role in the in the business industry is customer success role. So you see, Anji, day by day, with year on year, this role is getting evolved exponentially. Today, nowadays, every organization want to focus what their customer want, what their customer, why their customer has purchased their product, what outcome they want to achieve, what value being a CS we can provide to them. So as the ranks swell, CSM has to become a multifaceted. They have to balance that act. Okay, I have to be here to for my customer in this company, so I will not be playing as my customer representative, but morely I will be working as an advisor for my customer, like, hey, you have purchased this and these are the value I'm going to provide to you in a course of time. So when these are the things has been done right, when we have set the right expectation, the gap between the service and sale, between the company interest to the customer interest, between the product expertise to the customer insight, when these are things done, the CSM become more powerful engine in the company. They become the driving force in the company, I must say. So yeah, so depending on that, customer nowadays perceive CSM as to be more interesting, like they are coming forward and helping them to bring the success to them rather than selling any product. So yeah, in short, to your question, I mean, like, this particular role is evolving exponentially around the world and with the time going forward.
So, I like to hear you the way you said that it has become the most prominent role and being customer delight to customer success, what all it has been named so far. But then, do you think now it's the time that the role kind of have stabilized and there is more clarity around the role, both for the CSMs or aspiring CSMs and both for the organizations?
So when we talk about stabilization, that particular word would reflect on the fact that change is the only constant. Whether it is in a technical role or whether it is in any kind of role, any uprising business or customer facing role you take it up, change can be intensely or drastically molded as per the organization market trend. So when we talk about the stabilization, we also have to see what market is talking. If I'm putting my company out and helping my customer, I have to see what my market is, what is my target audience is. So for change to occur in any organization, each employee, it is for them to think, feel, and do something differently to adapt that change. And then once they adapt that change, they will be, feeling that, okay, now this is something, I'm in a stable position and I can help my customer. So when we are talking about civilization, I think we also have to see that the change is the a driving force of that civilization, right? And also when we talk about this, even in the large organization, Anshi, understanding company strategy well enough so that we can translate that strategy to the customer in a very appropriate way, so that their experience can be more enhanced and more satisfied. Then okay, there is a lot of changes happening in this company, I think this company is not stable, let's move on to the another company. So it is a responsibility of CS also, that whenever any change is coming up, whenever you are seeing that okay, this is some new strategy company is bringing up for the business, you have to bring and you have to appropriately mention that thing to your customer. So the stabilization, everything comes, hand on hand, I would say. Now,
Mhm.
short answer to your question again, it is actually both. It is stable also and it is not. When I'm saying stable, it is stabilized in a very early stage of business, I would say, like in a startup or small enterprises to start with. So if you're starting with them, they have their course of, follow the course of best practices you can follow. And when I'm saying no, it is not stable, because if you see every big enterprises, every big company out there in the market, or even a market leader, they are working, they are proactively changing the definition of CS and approach altogether to their business need to serve their customer in a more better way.
I hear you. So, just adding on to that same point, the variety of customers that we engage with, we definitely see variety of CS approach. The way the function has been designed, the way processes have been run, the way teams are structured, and the way their even KPIs are defined. So there definitely can be multiple variants of CS, but largely, I think uh, we are seeing that there is kind of an agreement that uh, CS drives outcomes and success for customers. But then there are still certain organizations, sometimes in large organizations, sometimes even in startups and SMBs, that may not be totally true. But it's nonetheless, it's still good to see that we all have come to a stage where CS is not totally lost. It has come to a position. So, extending the same question a little further, CS has been evolving, and as you put, it will continue to evolve in certain shape and form. But you, as a CSM who has been in the industry for 8+ years, how do you lay out, or rather, what are the kind of challenges that you have faced over a period of 8 years, or you can speak if, on behalf of the entire CS community?
So when we, as we talk about the evolution of this particular role happened from year on year now, from the past 1 decade, it's been in the limelight. It's shining out, and as I said, the LinkedIn has been put as a promising role, one of the promising role after the enterprise account executives. So the key challenges comes here, Anshi, is that how open we are as a CS professional to adapt the new thing, the new innovation, the new technologies happening. How we are keeping ourselves up, how we are keeping, uh, how we are keeping up, more update to the technology and what is happening in that. With this evolution of the role, we got the evolved responsibility also. When you see, the responsibility of a CS professional has been increased what it was 10 years back. Now we have to focus on onboarding, we have to focus on adoption, we have to also focus on retention, and all together we have to make sure that customer is having a satisfaction or they are having a delight experience with our product and services. So I would say handling a huge customer base by keeping up that long lasting customer relationship is becoming a difficult day by day. Why? Because customer interest is also evolving. Customer wants something quick. Some customer, they are coming to you because they want a solution, but instead of solution you are pitching up something else. They are not going to listen you. So again, nurturing that account, handling that huge customer base is becoming challenge, and I will say that's one of the key challenge which every CSM will face out there. Often customer, I would say often the CSM, they miss out few important tasks or CTA because due to this, management, lack of management and evolving expertise in the product, or let's say the customer business use cases. Every day with new technology, with new innovation, customer business use cases has been changing now and then. They are focusing, okay, we want something fast. So due to this lackness, one of the main challenge which also arise, for the CSM is the inconsistency in nurturing the customer account. If we are not focusing on much on the account, we are just seeing the high touch, we are leaving the low touch, or we are not seeing the strategic one, we are only seeing the commercial one. So how you segregate your customer, how you're giving your attention to that customer is very important. So you have to be very mindful with your role, that what type of customer you will be handling up, what type of customer you will be focusing on. So inconsistency can lead to an increase in the customer churn rate, right? And it will draw the graph in a lower scale than the higher scale what you are doing it up. So again, it is very important to track your account, track the activity on the product adoption, so that you can create that long lasting relationship. And it should not be like a burden to you. It should not be like customer is coming and reaching out to you, having engagement with you, and there is no solution is coming up. So you have to be very mindful that you are creating a relationship between your company and the customer, which can be retained, which can be sustained for a longer period. So segregate it, see it, track it up, and make a note, and help your customer in that way, that they feel successful by using your product.
Great. So I hear you that the way CS has been evolving and the lack of processes and the tools and technologies for CSMs perhaps have been a big hurdle. They have not been able to manage their customers as effectively as they would have, or even organizations would have wanted. Wonderful. So moving on and continuing our focus on CSMs. So what is it that you think are very basics to CSMs and all CSMs should adhere to? Say, for example, uh, really depending on the way CS function is organized in any organization, the kind of processes are there, the kind of tools are being given to empower the CSMs, the kind of management is there. CSMs may not have financial numbers on their head in the current organization, but what do you think is the fundamental to CS that all CSMs should always adhere to?
So when you say the fundamental, you are asking from with the perspective of a CSM, right? I'm like, what CSM has to look forward in the employer, okay, whether this employer is the right one, where they are giving that customer first approach or not. You have to see that. Again, whether you are a new CSM, or you're just pursuing it up, or you are already a champion one, in whatever you are, in whatever the stage you are in, you have to understand that this particular game is a very number game. When I'm saying number game, means how much resource a company is investing in the customer. Like, if customer if company is having that customer first approach or not, you have to see that. That is a main fundamental and the baseline for any CSM, for any CS professional. If you are not having the customer first approach, I'm sorry, you are in the wrong profession. You have to change your profession immediately, because that's how your thinking should be there. You have to put yourself in a customer's shoe. You have to understand the language of a customer. You have to have a knowledge about the customer industry before advising them, before consulting them about anything. So what I will recommend you, taking the more focused approach instead of the usual approach, in identifying, okay, this employer is good, or this employer is having this and that. So in this particular role, I would say leverage the employer's customer success stories. Like, what are the success story this employer is bringing up in the table? Is there any of the any of their customer is putting a word of mouth for them? Is there any good story which customer is ready to talk about this employer or not? You have to understand that how and what this employer, how this employer is bringing that success to its customer. Secondly, I will say the maturity. The maturity of the company is very, very important, going forward. That is another fundamental base you have to see, because in a career journey you can be in your initial years, you can be in your higher years of experience, but you have to see certain type of companies are more likely to hire an entry level CSM than other. Now, let me give you one comparison. Let me give you one example. An early stage startup company may not want to hire someone with a strong customer success background, right? Because since they are not likely to have that large department to support, and definitely they can't afford to have someone on the learn on the job. They want somebody who can come and quick and set up everything. That's how the startup works. And if you see the mid to the mature stage of the company, like a big enterprises, what they do is they have their existing customer success team, they have the training process, everything they have in the place, which can bring that raw talent, shape them, turn them into the type of CSM they want for their customer. They can actually train them. So you have to see how mature your employer is, like how the mature that company type is, and whether it is a right company for your career growth or not, whether what plan you have as a CSM, whether you can get that in that company or not. And the third most, which I believe in, being in this CSM role for the past 8 years, is that focus on industry type. Because if you are joining any company, any ABC company, you are anyway going to spend 1 to 2 years or max 3 years in that company. So you have to learn what company is all about, how that company ropes in the new CSM, what are the things they are doing for the customer, what are the plans are there, how much they give the leverage to visit the customer, then how free they give that to have that customer engagement and on. So you want to make sure that it's a kind of company you want to work for. It's a kind of company where you can, be open and you can put your ideas. Okay, this is how I want to attend my accounts, or this is how I can attend my, customer. Again, it has to be best practices, not something, you can just, putting out there and you want it to happen. You have to be mindful that, okay, whether this industry is something where I want to focus or not, or this particular area with this particular company type is right for my career or right for my going forward in the career journey. So yeah.
Wonderful. So I like all the aspects that you put forth, especially if the organization is customer centric or not. I thought, or rather, I just assumed that maybe we'll also hear about saying if the company is employee oriented or not. But then that is a default, I assume.
Yeah.
So very good to hear that. Last question for today. Uh, if you have to give one tip to aspiring CSMs or someone who is looking out for a job, what would be that one tip?
Okay, so I'm very proud to say that this is something an exciting role. Okay, right? This is more like a people-oriented role. So if you're a people person, and you can go for it. You can take this role, and if you search it, this is one of the popular role. I must say, I'm very proud to say that in today's business department, if you just search CSM, you will see how lot of exciting and the new very popular stories is coming up. So I would suggest this to all CSM, whether you are aspiring or you are already one of the leaders in the CSM. One thing is that you have to learn that patience. You should know how to invest your time in knowing as well as listening to your customer. Sometimes a customer just need an ear to talk, who can listen to them. Just hear them out what they want, and instead of just talking your talk or just talking your script, just listen to them, and I think half of the battle you will win there. So again, you have to have that patience, and you should be mindful to invest your time in knowing and listening to the customer. Second, I would say you should engineer, like, in that way you can tailor the customer outreach engagements, or the right set of engagement strategy. So if you are, tailoring your outreach engagements, continuously, so what will happen is that you will see a different set of customers coming up, interestingly. If you are going to see, adapt the same process of reaching the customer, same way, same that script mail, same everything is, you are sending it up, then at the one time customer will also be, become, okay, this is very predictable, they are going to send this next, this and that. So bring that personalization in your customer engagement, tailor that, that communication, tailor that engagement strategy with your customer. And third most, which is very important, I would say, and it is not specifically for the CSM, but I would say for any job role, don't promise something you can't keep up. Don't overpromise, don't underpromise. Just make sure that you are setting the right expectation at the very beginning of your customer engagement. And also, don't forget to draw a line about what you know, what you don't know, when to stop, and it is okay to take some time to get back to your customer query. It is not necessary that you have to answer that. So that's why I'm saying, don't promise something which you can't keep up. And just be mindful that, okay, this is something my customer will be, also agree to be, give some time to me and come back and give them that, all the information. And as we are talking about the tips in the CSM, I am also, running my webcast called WhatsApp in CS, where I'm talking with a lot of CS leaders, CS professionals, whether, individual contributor and manager. So I'm talking with those leaders and those CS professionals, and they are sharing their experience. So I would say, if you listener of Fine and Carrot, if you are listening to this, you can join that. You can check out that particular webcast. I'm sure Anshi will put the link in the description, and you can see that how different CS professional from different organization, from different region, coming together and sharing their experience. And I'm sure you people can take out some learning and advantage from their experience.
Wonderful, wonderful. Good to have you, Anamika, and it was a wonderful discussion. And I hope you get many more participants in your podcast. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much, Anshi, for giving me this opportunity to talk about more. And as I mentioned earlier, this is my favorite topic to talk about. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. All the best.